you'd heard the conversation in context, what I was
provides
trying
a
to
context or meaning
We all
for
got lathered up. Things might have been taken out of context.
He's had no context. He's been completely without guidance.
Context? What are you even talking about?
Well, you have to put it in context.
In our present context,
we can address within the larger context of legislation.
It's most right from a present perspective, forgetting context.
You just had to see it in context. Can you move her, please? Thanks.
I know the context.
In the context of Sandusky wrestling with?
They don't have context. They don't know where it comes from.
He wanted to put me on Prozac, and now he's madly in love with his laptop.
Well, if you'd heard the conversation in context, what I was trying to say.
I've always wanted to have a wife without the challenges of
consciousness provides a context or meaning for our actions. If that part of you doesn't exist.
How much does he know? Huh?
It's a bit sketchy. We all got lathered up. Things might have been taken out of context.
Tell me exactly what was it.
You know how
Equipped him with the tools necessary to judge right from wrong. He's had no context. He's been completely without guidance. Furthermore, his work, the garden sculptures.
Before I had a chance to give you some rather necessary context. Context? What are you even talking about? How are you driving a car? Who are you?
Setting an event in my family.
mildly.
Well, you have to put it in context. See, the thing of it is, the affair was over something like 8 years.
Simply known as the double cross. In our present context, it means infiltration of the Democrats.
Specific hardships and humiliations we can address within the larger context of legislation.
Doc, we gotta start.
Solve. Believe what you will from historians, most right from a present perspective, forgetting context. Mitchell Palmer was a hero.
See? Show me a nipple. See, you just had to see it in context. Can you move her, please? Thanks. Allie.
At your apartment,
No,
right?
you need the context.
I know the context, but what I'm trying to determine is when your obsession with Mr.
It really means they're nervous. People get nervous for all sorts of reasons. It's all about context. Yeah, I was good. Sammy was...
Equivocating on the definition of sexual in the context of Sandusky wrestling with and grabbing the genitals of the boy. I mean...
Jazz. They don't have context. They don't know where it comes from. You know? Jazz was born in a little flop house.
Could I make a movie?
Let me put this into context for you. He could walk into any studio executive's office.
Get to know these issues and people behind them. We need to put it in context, you know? The mistake we've been making is not doubling down on the...
I can't see their faces at all. Has that ever happened?
You gotta think of a context.
What does that mean?
Well, that is certainly fast by normal standards. In the context of the size of the universe,
while solar disturbances may disrupt radio...
Appreciate la fin absolue du monde, one must understand the context in which it premiered. The Sitges Festival is still young, but there is a boldness to their program.
The crew of Europa One changed the fundamental context in which all of humanity understands itself.
Well, Stevens, but we have no choice. You've got to see the whole thing in context. I have the well-being of my guests to consider.
So, putting it into context, I don't envisage the breaking of bones to get at 1,000.
We stripped a little pretty pictures from their 500-channel universe, recontextualize it, then we spit the shit back at them. Special data, things that'll help people.
All right, and that was then when the gangsters chasing us.
The context is a little off.
Tika. Oh, Tika. So sad. Tika.
No matter what, they doctor these things, play them out of context. I can't believe you are such a...
That's kind of like looking at someone's diary and taking it all out of context, you know?
Okay, that's fair. It's just that...
Wow, it's the red
Oh,
one.
it's magnificent.
The design's deliberately non-contextual, but I wanted to keep the atmosphere of the street, you know, and the proportions. And in the
It's great, but you got to look at it in context. I mean, it's about survival and post-war Italy.
I know.
Right, but you can't divorce it from its social roots, you know.
And let me just explain the context. The defendant...
And beyond the end, unquote.
Now that sounds red to me.
Not only is that speech out of context,
Do you respect and share those views, Mr.
That an unmarried male should carry out command decisions involving thermonuclear destruct contexts.
Let me take a look at that. You didn't tell him to eat because it wouldn't have helped if I hadn't. Just trying to establish it in some sort of context he'd understand. What do you mean by that? I mean,
the book.
Okay.
You can quote that if you want. Preferably in a context where I don't sound like a total dweeb.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
At the academy, it's giving us context. That book was about a programmer.
Be quiet like this. I'm the boss. That's quiet.
That's all taken out of context.
Yeah,
I have no control over that. Ronnie and Billy were right there to tell you exactly
back
what
home,
happened.
they don't know about fucking.
Call their earliest memories to provide a context for the Coppocratic historians of the future.
Fabricants have no such memories, archivist.
Land, sea, and air, the rape of the environment. In this context, isn't it obvious that Chicken Little represents the same vision?
And that you're inside a geometric structure of some kind. This and other contextual clues now lead scientists to believe that the message isn't